Greetings, listeners. Adam here with a quick note. We had some audio woes on this one that we've tried to edit around as well as we can. I think we've done a pretty bang-up job, just given the time and tools that we have to do it. So hopefully it won't be too noticeable, but there are going to be a couple spots where you might notice that we are reacting to something, specifically in the cases that remain, where Robin is inaudible, but the rest of us are reacting. We cut around stuff as well as we could, restored things where we could, but there are just a couple of places where don't get too confused. You haven't missed out on anything important, but it's going to happen to every podcast sooner or later that audio woes are going to get insurmountable. We're glad that the episode wasn't lost. Hopefully it sounds pretty good otherwise, and hopefully you enjoy. Hello and welcome to Dice Pucks, a tabletop role-playing podcast where we focus on playing full campaigns in less well-known systems. This week in episode 33, our heroes and one of their enemies explore the Godswoods in search of the very bones of Mieleth. Hello and welcome. I'm Adam, your friendly neighborhood game master, and joining me are...
Hi there, I'm Drew. I'll be playing Leorian Kitar, Baron of Tempo.
Hi, I'm Robin, and I'll be playing Lissa Crate, fucking Furious Queen and Dark Diva of Deicide.
Hi, I'm Dez, and I will be playing Romnet, the Duke of Murder, recently reconciled.
Most excellent. So let's see. First off, we probably need a Romnet's bonus XP roll.
3 sevens.
Lucky sevens. That's 1 XP.
But not shiny this time.
Well, you know, we already gave you the shiny one. We only had the one. So unfortunately, all other special rolls will have to be less special by comparison.
Alas. Tragedy.
I like the idea of a GM having an especially finite number of experience points to give out, right. And like starting to sweat when the campaign goes long and being like, instead of an experience point, this time you get hint scrolls. Everybody gets a hint scroll. If you unroll it, it's got a hint on it.
Go West, signed the GM.
Yeah, just coming up with other ways to reward players without them realizing that the larder is bare.
This is a DIY podcast. We have artisanal, small batch, locally sourced experience points here.
Look, we had to, during the pandemic, we got a little bit of experience point starter, and it hasn't been doing so well in this climate, so we have to be really careful with it.
Yeah,
Use the discard to make experience point flat.
Availability of experience points goes down with society regressing.
What have you named the experience point starter?
What do you name? Do you have to name a starter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whoops.
I've been fucking this up. IRL.
No one.
At least that's my understanding. I don't personally have a starter.
I gave my mom a piece of my starter, and she calls her starter that she now has Bredley the Beast, which I appreciate.
Oh, perfect.
That's marvelous.
I like that she names her starters like I name my classroom plants.
I name my plants. Yeah. I name a lot of my plants.
Yeah. I don't have a starter either, but for the experience starter, I'm thinking maybe Rosario.
That feels
that
right.
Just sounds fun.
Right. Yeah, I can see that.
Cynical, Charmander.
So do we have... Why are we on Pokemon?
What? Rosario is evolving. That's how you get divine XP. That's how you get divine XP. Okay, we're getting very close to legally actionable, or at least like algorithm traceable.
And these are very distinct things.
Yeah. True. Nintendo doesn't always know that, but yeah.
Maybe then this is a good time for me to ask, in the spirit of RPGs generally, do we have any character stat growth this time? Anybody spending?
I will not be evolving, nor do I have a rare candy.
Sad times.
I think I'm going to, I think I'm going to do this thing. We didn't actually talk about this off air, Hollyhock God, so we'll talk about it on air. You said you were probably going to impose a soft cap on Leorian's domain. We didn't say what that was, though. So am I still in the realm where I could go to domain 2 and not
Certainly. Yes, you can go to domain 2.
All right. I'm going to do that. Both for me and for the listener, how many divine XP does that cost?
That will run you 3 divine XP.
Okay, cool. Hang on to 1 for the rainy day that I assume is imminently coming. And
but you will be more able to affect the rate at which the raindrops fall.
You get me.
So you do control the speed at which, etc.
Only the speed at which, etc. Not weather, and not weather the weather, but how fast the weather. Yeah.
Locally at this level.
Sure. Fair enough.
Similarly, I only control the means by which.
Sure. Right. Well, you have some say in whether a given entity gets murdered, I think.
Limited degree, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. No,
Destructions of murder don't really bring people back, though.
Not especially at lesser destructions. If I think I'd be willing to say that if you were the cause of a murder and you used a major destruction on it, then it might bring someone back. But, if you were to come across a murder that was independently motivated, it would be a very case-by-case basis.
I'm sure we've already told this joke, so I apologize to the listener, but it's just tickling me and I have to share it. Destruction of murder does sound like if you got a recurrent neural network to name metal bands, that sounds like one that it would definitely come up with.
Oh, for sure.
I don't think we have used that joke before.
Well, good then.
I was going to say, Destruction of Murder may actually be a metal band, probably in Central Florida, if I had to guess.
They were always asking Jeff Vandermeer to come to their shows.
Yes.
So,
there's Death Destruction.
Pretty close, but yeah. So, if anybody's looking to name their band, I guess Destruction of Murder may still be out there.
Yeah, there doesn't appear to actually be anything specifically Destruction of Murder. It's available.
Okay, so I think that's our XP expenditure, unless anybody has another surprise one. In which case, I think now Leorian has our recap from last time.
He does indeed. Which is to say, I do indeed. Which is to say, here we go with that. So, Romnet had murdered Toheel by way of Puff. Romnet is a demigod now of murder, specifically. Toheel was a large bat and the demigod of the deep earth who'd been traveling with Thoralda, the demigod of the forge. Puff was a cute little critter traveling with Fewa, who was, this caused the city of Lurenton to be sucked into the earth, and I, having been asked specifically by Dask to dedicate any dead from the battle to him, did that. This apparently created a chancel boar. It has a longer name, but we don't say it anymore. And it turns out that Fewa's troubles had to do with the mining of bloodstone, which was blood. The body of Zalavan, it turned out that she was also the greater part, her words, of the god Ventis. It also turned out that she was on her way to the Godswoods, believing them to be some piece of the body of the previous holder of the big job, the overgod. This war of gods, she thinks, could be ended by melting the throne down to slag. My words, not hers. Since if there's no big spot to fight over, there's no fighting. And it would be good to end the fighting, because currently there is fighting. I think Thoralda ended up impaled on Fewa's needle at one point. It was an ugly business. We met with Dask, and he assured us that he was doing the best he could, which I believe he is, even when his best isn't great. Romnet offered forgiveness in exchange for a hug, and my god very wisely took the offer as best he could in his semi-corporeal form. He got the chance to make things a little bit more right with Romnet and with Lissa, and Thoralda wasn't invited to this meeting. They tried to dig their way to us. They didn't succeed, but they did agree, sort of, to come with us to the Godswoods. I believe their exact words were, son of a bitch.
So Thoralda's expletive, well, doesn't echo because you are in an open grassland that Lissa, you in particular, will recognize as being sort of on the northwestern edge of the Vales. You are just shy of being able to see the Godswoods on the horizon if you don't miss your mark. You can see the desolation sort of off to your left and behind you a little bit. And if you turn around, you can see the heat haze where the now desertified Vales are.
So are the Vales now going to be called the Dunes?
Suppose it remains to be seen. In either case, they are behind you, and you are not very far from the road that does eventually pass into and through the Godswoods. It is a fairly major road, although one of the less used major roads in Taraxis past this stretch. People use this road out of the Vales and then turn north toward Calavan a little ways back behind where you currently are. Most traffic between this point and cities further south takes place over water. Thoralda is fuming.
Mm-hmm. I probably leave them to it and look at my other two companions, nod, and start heading towards the road.
Lissa, I have a question for you.
Yeah, I have an answer, possibly.
Would a destruction of darkness create light?
Oh, this is one of those questions that I've always been really bad at. It's not like simple metals or alloys or things like that.
No, I understand that, but you are in charge of that now. And the Vales can only grow things at night.
So I could do I'm going to do oh crap, I would not be able to do that without spending points, so I am not going to do that. Never mind. Then my thinking was to do like some divination into darkness and see if the destruction of darkness would create light. However, considering that I am only at 1, and that would be a level 2 miracle, I will not do that. So I will turn to Romnut instead and say, I think it's worth investigating once we return, but I kind of want to check out the Godswoods and see if there's any answers there.
Idle query, particularly since it, may help what remains.
I don't think I enjoy
Awkward
light.
Yeah, no, I don't think... I suspect it would not create light. Unclear.
They're disastrous results. So I'd rather not revisit. Avoid?
The common understanding, which of course we're above at this point, would be that darkness is the absence of light. So the absence of... I had something there. Hold on. Give me a sec. Void.
Thoralda chimes in and says, "It is easy to forget how young you all are. These questions are solved through time, experimentation, practice, getting in tune with your shard, and these things will not be done here, wherever here is. Can you at least tell me where we are?"
Near the...
"Oh, yes, thank you. That means very, very much to me. I have never heard of these forests in my life."
Does the word Taraxis mean much to you?
"Oh, this region of..." And they visibly change what they were going to say. And instead go with, "We have heard of Taraxis, of course. This is Taraxis still?"
Yes.
Very well. Which way do I need to go to get back to the Caroline Wastes? Okay. I am going to make you roll.
Very good at lying.
I will also point.
Charm plus lie. I will let you guys decide who is helping and who is the primary role.
How's your lie?
Ramnet has a pool of
yes,
5.
you're
For some reason, I
primary.
thought I had a
Alyssa has a
master
pool of
die
3.
in lie, but I apparently don't.
I'm helping.
Actually, I have a spell that can give me a master die in lie, but that's not immediately available. So,
I got a 69.
Yeah, nice.
Not helpful, but
The
nice.
biggest.
I got 3.
tease.
I got 3 10s.
Well,
It's a good assist.
Thank you. But we decided the primary role.
It is
was
in fact a
Robin.
nice assist.
Did I say assist? Because I meant great primary.
Yeah.
role.
Yeah, no. She gave me a nice assist.
Yes.
There it is. There it is.
The amount of eyebrow
So-
waggling that just occurred was so beautiful. I can't even say it.
Off the charts. I'm confident you can hear it, dear listener. The eyebrows are
It's like
audible.
the whisking of bushy eyebrows through the air near the microphone.
Right up against the pop filter.
Worrying.
Probably would take the cake for the weirdest ASMR.
Do you really want to issue that challenge, Adam?
It's a bold statement.
I suppose not. I suppose I don't. Wasn't aware that it was going to be interpreted as a challenge, but I appreciate you pointing out that it could be. So I'll be
If
prepared.
you have some weirder ASMR, we are at DicePunks on Twitter.
Oh
And Drew is now in charge of that Twitter.
You know what? Fine. If you have some weirder ASMR, I'm at Drew M. Michaels on Twitter. Bring it.
Love it when my players rise to the challenge. So, Theralda sort of glances at Lyssa and then follows Robnet's point and sort of glances around and then says, "All right," and starts walking in the direction that you pointed with no further comment.
I give Ramnet a thumbs up.
I will smirk back at you.
Thick as thieves.
And I guess we follow
I
Throlda.
think we follow.
All right, yeah, you start heading toward the Godswoods. Now, it is fairly distant as walking speeds go, but on the scale of geographic, sort of proximity, you're fairly close. And you are all Nobilis, and at least some of you know where you're going. Follow the road in the correct direction. And so it takes most of like a day of walking unassisted.
Unassisted.
To
Wink,
get
wink.
where you're going.
Nudge, nudge.
Let's see what an assist would cost. Because this is my domain, but I'm also reasonably tapped out. Because I have been very profligate with my points because I am eager to please. So let's see. If I were to increase the tempo of our walking, which is a thing I've done before, if I recall, was that a lesser creation of tempo, or was it less than that?
It was a lesser creation. We have allowed for ghost miracles to alter the perception of the passage of time to a local group before. But to actually affect rate does take creation.
Yeah, so I have a feeling we might save that right of the last trump for a moment where we're in immediate danger, which we very well might be. And I'll go with the ghost miracle option. I will make the day go quickly.
Very well. During this experientially quicker day, a obviously there are limits to what practically can be discussed safely around Thoralda, but is there anything in particular that you wish to discuss or get up to in the time that you have before your arrival at the edge of the Godswoods?
At some point, I'm going to look at Romnut and say, hey, I have a question.
I may have an answer.
I don't know if this is rude, and forgive me if it is, but knowing what we know now, are you alive?
To the best of my knowledge.
Are you one of the 100? You know?
Pretty sure not.
Okay.
One of the first things that I did back in Fermata was look into the 100 eternal deaths that we'd sensed, and there was an implication that I was responsible for them, which I think now we can appropriately assert as bullshit, except to the degree that my shard is of the big they, them. But I'm not one of those deaths.
I had to ask. Not going to dwell on the eternal part of that right now, but
Yeah, no, it's... Yes, moving on.
Had to be sure.
Reasonable.
I passed some time in silence after that.
Mm-hmm.
After some time in silence, I will call to Thoralda. So what's the destruction of the forge, then?
I feel like this is also a roll.
Charm plus graces?
I think probably charm plus graces, yeah.
Which is to say, fascinate.
Yeah. I will say that you are going to lose your master die from your pool for this, because Thoralda is hostile enough to assess a penalty, so it's going to be 3.
Damn. Pair of 2s becomes a pair of 7s.
Well, that'll still do something at the very least. There's a long enough pause that you're not sure that Thoralda is going to answer, but on balance, they seem to decide that they are bored enough to humor you. And without turning about, they say, it can take many forms, in my experience, depending on the situation, but it can be as simple as destroying an actual forge, miraculously, destroying the work of that forge, miraculously, or undoing craftsmanship generally, if the thing was or can be produced by a forge. So, for instance, when it has been advantageous, I have been able to turn weapons back into lumps of ore.
I hide my rings and try to conceal some of the stuff that I've made on my body, without really seeming being conscious, without seeming as though I'm conscious that I'm doing it.
Thoralda pauses for a moment and continues and says, I suppose that in theory, if I was not particularly dedicated to my portfolio, my craft, and to my shard, then a greater destruction, a major destruction of the forge could potentially undo advances in metalworking or in forgecraft, perhaps even obliterate metallurgy entirely from the world. I have had no wish to do such things, but it is potentially within my power.
Fascinating. Thank you for indulging my curiosity.
Yes, well, you are welcome. I would not get used to it.
No plans to.
And the walk, therefore, continues in silence for some time. Not that long after you begin walking, you do start to see the sort of dark smudge on the horizon that those who are familiar with the geography will know is the Godswoods. This is, just as a refresher, a forested strip of land at sort of a strip of coastline south of Calavan that sort of goes east-west. So that the coast is along the northern edge of the land for a while, and the Mountains of the Desolation are sort of along the southern edge of this strip of land, and the Godswoods occupies most of the land in the middle of this strip of land, sort of a long, narrow, old-growth forest. People typically don't get off the road in the Godswoods. It has a reputation for being sort of relatively easy to get lost and not especially bountiful in terms of things like food and firewood. But there are expeditions that sometimes go into the Godswoods specifically to collect the odd artifacts that seem to occur naturally there, which we talked about a little bit last time, as they can fetch a high price. We've seen these a couple of times in the campaign so far, just sort of in passing. And it's generally one of the less trafficked, less populated parts of. By the time you are approaching the actual edge of the Godswoods, night is falling. Experientially, it's felt like maybe 3 hours, but tracking the position of the sun overhead, it has taken you most of a day, and evening is coming on quickly. Thoralda, for their part, sort of has been eyeing the forest suspiciously, and sort of seeming, well, they've been seeming hostile and suspicious and uncomfortable the whole time, but seeming to dislike the look of the thing as you get closer and closer.
So, Thoralda, what was life like before you were ennobled? What did you do?
Interesting question. Thoralda looks at you very sharply when you ask this, and they answer the last question first. I worked in the forge. I have been in the forge since I was a child, apprenticed to a master back home. I took to it very well, and I have taken to it very well ever since. I suppose I am not sure what you want to know or why beyond that. I am the forge.
I was just curious. A bit of commonality there. Wouldn't hurt. Spent a lot of time at the forge myself before being ennobled.
Yes, well, they seem kind of uncertain. Clearly able to see that you are an experienced forge worker in your own right, but reluctant to actually engage you in a conversation for whatever reason. They instead sort of change tack and say, before I was ennobled, before my commencement, life was dull. It was fine. The forge was there for me, but it was, and a little bit of venom creeps in when they say commerce. It was mercenary. The craft served an economic purpose once I was ennobled. And this is probably about the sort of like happiest, most positive expression you've seen on their face as they remember this. Well, I no longer worked the forge. I was the forge. I was the things that come from the forge, and I have never looked back. It is the greatest gift I could have been given, and Narim gave it to me.
Commonality.
There's a certain amount of pride in that.
Commonality. We're finding more commonality. I hated, if I'm honest with myself, having to play music to eat. That's the wrong reason to pick up an instrument. The correct reason is to shape time itself, the very air. And now I can at an elemental level. It's beautiful. It's a gift, as you say.
I wonder if I would feel differently if I were handed a domain as lovely as the forge or music. And I suppose I'd see the world differently then too, I guess.
Thoralda fixes you with something approaching a glare and gestures at Leorian without looking at him and says, "The fool at least understands his nature."
I nod vigorously
You,
as though
though.
that were a pure compliment.
You, though, deny yourself. You are your domain. You are rage. Because you do not wish to be does not make you any less. Only by embracing your nature can you grow in power and in prominence. You will destroy yourself.
I've been doing a pretty good job so far. There can be positive ends to fury, and I definitely embrace those, like those moments of furious joy where you could almost just throw them right out of your own skin. Just the...
Thoralda says, "It does not have to be good for it to be you. The forge," and they gesture at your many accoutrements, can create. It can be a source of great beauty and pride. The forge can also destroy not just objects, but whole landscapes. Back in my country, there are mining towns that are desolate for miles around, all of the trees cut down for the coal of the forges. This too is my nature. I applaud it not because it is good for the people who have done it, but because it is part of the forge. You cripple yourself. How long have you been a noble?
How long have I been a noble? At this point,
Several months.
I'm close to a year, and a little bit less, maybe by some change.
Thoralda shakes their head and laughs. My commencement was 300 years ago.
You look great.
Thoralda kind of sighs and says, "Thank you, I suppose, but that is my point. I can look almost any age I choose to. I have chosen to stay as I was when I was ennobled, as an expression of my nature. You, what have you chosen? Joy instead of your actual domain? You are a fool, and it is not entirely your fault. You are young, but you will learn."
You all nobles get to, will any of us here look as lovely and striking as you do at 300?
They shrug one shoulder. That will depend upon you and your imperator and the nature of your relationship and your power. I have seen nobles, not many, but who endure but continue to age. They eventually end up skeletal.
Skeletal? Like, a walking skeleton?
More or less, yes.
Oh, no.
This is maybe less surprising for me as a musician.
Thoralda shoots you a genuinely confused look.
As do I.
Out of character. The devil went down to Georgia.
In answer to the confused looks, all I can offer is, well, there's a long life lived with purpose, and then there's a short life lived with purpose. Or the pursuit of it, anyway.
Thoralda shakes their head and says, "I suppose some things really are universal. Is this a campsite, then? It grows dark. Do we enter this foreboding place?"
We happen to have something of an expert on the subject of darkness with us. I think we'd be Fools not to consult with her.
I don't know how darkness impacts the woods. I can guarantee I'm about ready to get a nice surge of energy, but at least two of us are comfortable in darkness, and one of us is comfortable in the pseudo-darkness that comes with nothing, presumably. And I look at Leorian.
Sure. I mean, I'll trip, but I'll learn.
I do just imagine this now being all of you walking, and just every 15 seconds you hear, oof! And every 4 or 5 of those, you just also hear like an impact.
I'm fine. I'm actually fine.
This is going to turn into another piggyback sequence.
No. It's going to turn into a rhythm.
Wait. When Leorian falls, does it always do a ba-dum?
No, like there's a beat to the point where you can actually start to predict. There he goes again.
Mm-hmm.
And if it goes on for long enough, then he can eventually navigate the forest by doing the steps to Sandstorm on DDR. Just full rhythm game.
Does this mean Weapon of Choice is like an anti-Leorian song?
Ooh, it might.
Oh boy. Before I start getting any further down the rabbit hole of arrhythmic music, we shall return to the matter at hand, which is whether or not you set up camp or proceed into the god.
Yeah, I have no way of succeeding a knowledge roll about the Godswoods. So I'm not even going to touch that.
I mean, I have a pool of 6 for that.
You're the one
presumably.
who would, have the most information.
Yeah.
Going in probably.
Like if there's any
How dangerous is the Godswoods after dark?
that.
4 9.
Ooh. Good rolls
Goodness.
today.
Hot hands.
Not touching that.
Well, you shouldn't. They're very hot.
It's been a while since I've gotten to use my dice, so they've stored up affection for me.
Sure, that makes sense. Yeah.
Checks out. So, as with most forests, most people would be hesitant to enter them or be in them if they could help it after dark. If you stick to the road, the Godswoods should be reasonably safe. Travelers do take a couple days to go through them, and there might even be sort of habitual campsites that you could, seek refuge in if you need to. In terms of your nebulous purposes here, it's a lot harder to say. Mortals would be very reluctant to leave the road at night in the Godswoods, probably for good reason, because forests in general are relatively dangerous after dark, and this one is stranger than most. But you are a group of non-mortals, so the one thing that I can also say here is that according to everything you've ever read or heard, there isn't anything specific in the Godswoods that's supposed to be dangerous after dark. Just that
It's the
they're
Godswoods.
strange and
Yeah.
it's a forest after dark. So
That's dangerous in the same way
there's-
that any dark wood is dangerous at night.
There is nothing specific to the Godswoods as far as dangers after darkness, other than it's a forest after darkness. However, most of the lore related to the Godswoods does relate to the dangers of straying from the path, which inevitably we're going to be doing. So we could do that by daylight, and it would still be a forest. Or we could do it by darkness, and it would be a forest in darkness. Either way, we will be off the path.
So why don't we venture into the woods until we feel compelled to rest or find a good campsite near the road, and then leave our off-road venturing for the day.
Certainly.
I have no objections.
Thorelda also assents, but it is easy to see that they are gripping the head of their hammer.
Oh, good. I creeped him out.
I would like to do a lesser divination for now, actually. Ooh,
Okay.
no, not a lesser. I am at a 5 for Fury and Domain, which should cover a greater divination without the expenditure of points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can do a major divination.
So, knowing what I know about the previous mega god purportedly constituting these buds, I am going to ask what Fury once meant to this place to see if it gives me any information as to where we should start to look. And I announce my intention, leaving out the stuff about the god, obviously, but I announce my intention to do a greater divination of Fury to the rest of the gang, too.
Okay. Interesting. So obviously with miraculous effects, they occur. I do like to modify them with dice, though. So roll me Sense plus Empathy, which you have 2 plus a Master die in.
I was hoping I'd be doing. Gonna be 2 5s with the Master die.
Okay.
Nice.
You query your estate. The major divination of Fury. What did Fury once mean to this place? And the sensation can best be described as diving. Probably to a degree that might be unfamiliar to Lissa, as Traxxas lacks any means of diving deeper than you can hold your breath for. But this is like continuing to go down. The light fades, the pressure increases, metaphorically, but you feel that rather than water slipping past you and air slipping away from you, instead you are slipping through time and the present is receding. And everything that you pass through, everything that you pass by, all of the ages that rise past you, your descent into the past of this place, are without Fury. Not without the capacity for it, just it is absent, it is inert. And as you start to feel that the dislocation in time may crush you as pressure might crush a diver, you can see on the horizon first a glimmer. And once you can focus on it, once you can detect the fury in the deep, deep past of this place, the scale of it becomes apparent. And you snap back to the present as though none of this sensation had ever happened, but you remember the scope of the fury that you could see blazing at a deep, deep point in the past of this place. It was as though a whole forest, all of Taraxis, maybe the whole world was on fire with it. It burned bright and hot and all-consuming at some point further back than you are really able to reckon.
I sit in stunned silence for a moment, savoring, reluctantly
While
so.
that is happening, I'm going to steal the idea and do a lesser divination of murder.
Okay. Specifically, what is the question that you are asking of your estate?
What is the greatest murder that occurred here?
Okay. You can also give me a sense plus empathy roll, which I believe for you is 6 dice.
Three 9s this time. And a 6.
Goodness. So you're, especially with a lesser divination, your answer is substantially more. Your question is about, the most significant, the greatest murder that has happened here, and the answer that you get is here.
Okay.
In fact, while we're at the divination game, Thoralda, for their part, murmurs seemingly absently. There is no craft here. There may never have been any craft here. How odd. After a beat, Thoralda turns to the person who is least zoned out, Leorian, and asks, "These woods, where is the nearest civilization on the other side?"
I would have to look at a map to answer that question.
I can let you know. It is the trading cities of Nema and Tiva. They're villages on the other side of the woods. But in terms of like concentrations of people, it's those cities and their outlying areas. And they're not especially close to the other side of the Godswoods. They're proximate, but not like they're further away from the Godswoods than Therit was from the Shadowed Lands.
So while I would need to look at a map, Leorian would not. So I say, well, I suppose the nearest would be Nema, where I'm from, and Tiva, where I'm not, and where the drinks are inferior, in my opinion. But neither is especially close. We're fairly far from anyone who might be civilized in the sense you're asking about.
Thoralda nods and looks pensive. So with Thoralda sort of looking pensive and worried, unless there is anything else that you wish to discuss or consider beforehand, you head down the road and into the Godswoods. And especially for those of you who see okay in the dark, it's actually rather nice. You are almost immediately, it's not quite like passing from one room into another, but in the space of maybe 100 paces, you've fully lost sight of the plane that you were crossing. The Godswood is not thick. It's old growth. There's almost no undergrowth except where trees have fallen. And all of these trees are large and dignified and somewhat sort of gnarled from the passage of time and weather and lightning and who knows what else. You do hear some of the sounds that you would expect in a nighttime forest, calls of nocturnal animals, but it's muted. And the canopy is thick but high. It gives you... This may not be the point of reference for your characters, but the way I would describe it to a modern person is there's something to it of walking through a cathedral. A high vault and, sort of the, broad space, sort of thick, supports holding it up. There's also something to it of walking through the catacomb under a cathedral, in that at times the canopy is closer and, the trees are a little smaller, especially close to the road. But it's very peaceful. Thoralda, for their part, does not seem extremely comfortable. But this does not perhaps overly concern, especially Romnet, but our others certainly as well. There is a quality in this forest that seems to swallow sound quickly. This is something that can happen, in forests generally, but it just feels like there isn't much in the way of sound carrying. The topography is close to flat. You have small rises and small dips, but nothing that would amount to a hill.
I'd like to roll stealth.
Okay.
Just to fade chiefly from Thoralda's awareness.
Fair enough. So that's coordination plus stealth is going to be 3 plus a master die.
3 sevens.
Lucky sevens again. You let yourself fall back to the back of the group. You move quietly. You make sure that your footfalls are as silent as possible. You avoid, the whisking of cloth on cloth as you move. And you think you probably are going to be more or less unnoticed until and unless Thoralda has some reason to think of or remember you. And then you might not be easy to spot, even if they do look around.
Excellent.
Anything in particular from our other two?
I'm taking in the sights and sounds with a bit of awe, having come from the Vales. I'm not really acclimated to seeing trees like this.
Yeah, mostly the Vales had very carefully tended copses spread out, among the farms. So yeah, this is maybe even reminding you a little bit of your encounters in the Cyanmere, but these trees feel different, and there isn't the splashing.
I hug one,
or the
just to see if my arms can reach all the way around it.
They cannot.
I probably laugh and then get someone's attention, most likely not Romnet, because stealth that has also worked on me, so I probably look at Leorian or bless them, Thoralda, and be like, hey, look how big this tree is.
I give a look as though to say, that is a big tree. I give an affirmation there. And then I think actually, since not to feel left out as far as divinations, and since I can now do a lesser divination without great personal cost, I do one of those. I see whether anything in the Godswoods seems to be moving unnaturally slow or fast.
Okay. So as is my custom, I'm going to give you a roll to go with that. Spurious though it might be.
My favorite kind of roll is the spurious roll. Let's do it.
Let's get a sense plus scrutinize 6 dice for you.
On it.
Also, Adam,
pick up the correct number of dice.
While
yes.
He is rolling, I am a world walker. Are there any secret, hidden, or twisted paths?
Very good question. Let's get Leorian's roll handled first.
Yeah, 2 sevens.
Nice.
All right. Time itself is sluggish here. It's not dramatically different. You wouldn't have noticed it without asking this divination question. But if you were to spend something on the order of years in the Godswoods without emerging, you would find that more time had passed in the world outside the Godswoods than had passed within it. Maybe not by a large margin. We're not talking about, Rip Van Winkle taking an afternoon nap and waking up 20 years later. But certainly, if you had spent 5 years, you might come out and find that 6 had passed.
I start to convey this and then realize I'm not even sure how. So for the moment, I keep it to myself. 'Cause, 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 'cause Romned, were you doing something?
Being stealthy and then finding hidden paths, which seems like a very responsible and safe choice of action.
Indeed.
Ramna, if I could get from you I'm trying to decide on the roll here. So remind me of your phrasing here.
I mean, the gift is that I can see hidden places, chancels, secret roads, and other places that mundane navigation cannot access. And I can sense it from several miles away.
Right. So, again, miraculous gift.
Sure.
Success is not in question, but I do still want you to roll a sense plus eerie, which is a very good pool for you. It's 7.
Have to find another die for that. Horns. 3 6s. I also have 2 8s and 2 5s. But
however,
is this one where wide or high would be good sets?
Probably high.
Okay,
your
then I will use
here.
the pair of 8s instead of the 6 roll.
Does that still add to her counter?
I'm still going to add it to the counter. Why wouldn't we add it to the counter? That feels like,
It has been rolled.
It was rolled. It's valid.
Yeah, agreed.
Even
if you've cast away the Dark Prince's gifts, still they
were offered.
Yeah.
So let's see. Make a note of that. And at first, you are inclined to say that there is nothing in particular here. There aren't any chancels, there aren't any shortcuts, there aren't any sort of, otherworldly paths. But a moment's concentration does give you something kind of interesting. There are sort of mythic world, spiritual world gaps here. Only a couple. Maybe a handful at the outside. They seem irregular in size, placement, shape. You're pretty sure at least one of them is underground. They're all relatively sort of smooth and rounded areas. You're not seeing any pentacles or anything. But
mythic world gaps as in what?
Yeah, it's not entirely clear to you. There is some space somewhere in this forest, several perhaps, where the texture of mythic reality is distinct from what's around it. It's also distinct from the kind of path that you'd use to get into or out of a chancel, or to move between 2 points rapidly, more so than the physical world would allow. It's strange. The directionality that you get from the sense of these things is in. They are ways in, but you're not sure to what or how.
Where's the nearest one?
The nearest one is well off the path to your left by somewhere in the vicinity of 2 miles. It's one of the smaller ones.
Where's the nearest big one?
The nearest big one is ahead of you by at least 10 or 15 miles, maybe more. And if the road turns at all, it could be a ways off the road.
Okay. I'd like to use aspect in 2 different ways. One, to perfectly remember my way back here.
Okay.
And 2, to go as quickly as humanly possible that 2-mile distance.
Okay. So 2 things. If you're looking for high-level human memory and high-level human speed, those are free. If you're looking for like world record memory and speed, then those are going to be 1 aspect miracle point each, for a total of 2. And this follow-up question is, are you telling anyone what you are doing?
A silly question, perhaps.
Because he did apologize.
I apologized, Adam.
And also he's stealthed. I'm just making sure that I'm clear on what's happening. I don't want to assume.
This is what not to do when you go hiking.
Would there be an extra point for preserving the stealth?
I feel like that can probably be a separate level 1 aspect miracle that won't cost you anything.
Sweet. I will spend a point for the memory. I will accept free speed as opposed to, Boston Marathoner speed.
Very well. And off you go. Thanks to your smoking void skull, you are able to navigate fairly comfortably. You aren't having to stagger through the forest here, although it does still slow your progress as compared to over like a flat road. But after a time, you do come to the area where you had felt this nearer, smaller aperture. And indeed, you can still feel it. You find that there is you almost feel comfortable calling it a naturally small clearing. If there was a downed tree here, it would feel right, but there's no evidence that one has ever been here. Not even like a log or a lump. It's, if anything, kind of a small depression.
We're still talking about the game?
Yes. Yes, we're still talking about the game. If you were standing in the bottom of it, you would still be able to see your head and shoulders, from outside of it. It is indeed quite small. It is filled with oddly familiar flowers. You have seen these only one other place, in Fermata. These silvery flowers that are one of the sole botanical ornaments available in Fermata. And it is only the depression. This small clearing full of flowers is conspicuous because you know that it is the site of one of these sort of apertures, but it's also the sort of thing that like somebody who didn't know any woodcraft might not look twice at, but even with your small amount of knowledge of it from traveling around, so much early in life, you would recognize this as unusual, even just visually. The clearing is enough to let some moonlight reflect off of the silvery flowers in the depression, and your sense of the aperture from your World Walker gift is that it exists, but even being close to it, even looking at it visually, doesn't really give you much more insight into what its nature might be or where it might go. It is simply unlike the things that you would normally understand this way.
Is there a through to go?
There is only one way that you can think to find out.
I go through.
Very well.
Like I said, sorry, guys. I know we're not supposed to split the party, but that is a very Des thing to do.
Well, if you are not supposed to split the party, we have not been doing a good job of following that rule.
You're not the only one. Yeah, who split the party.
Walk forward into the moonlit small clearing, and you sort of reach out your senses to this aperture, and you allow yourself to pass through. Gravity takes care of the rest, and we'll come back to you in a little bit. So our other folks on the road, it is pretty uneventful, very peaceful, very calm, very dark. very isolated moonbeams kind of coming through the canopy. And nobody said anything for a little while since the tree hugging incident.
Incident. It's an awfully strong word for it.
I would say the tree was hugged without incident.
Episode, happening,
happy incident,
occurrence.
I think happening is the right spirit
happening.
there.
Happening, yeah, like it's an art project in the 60s, yeah.
It's a real hootenanny, that tree hugging business.
The tree hugging hoedown. Dun, 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 dun.
So we've been quiet since the
yes
tree hugging tap dance.
Like, is there anything you're looking for? How far are you going? I guess kind of what's your plan of action here with nothing external happening to you?
The real question will be when one of us notices
or when
that
you get
Rom
tired.
is gone, because I imagine, yes, because it's either going to be when people around me start to look tired, or I myself become tired, which is unlikely because it's now dark.
Right. You know, you're fine.
Has anybody just sort of looked around with the site specifically and seen if this just looks like a forest or if it looks like something else?
Very pointedly, no one has.
Mm-hmm.
Let me do that.
I think you should look around with the
Let
site
me
for some
rephrase
reason.
that. I'm going to do that. Can't see a thing without my sight.
Tautological cat is tautological.
Good Lord.
And the first rule of Tautology Club is the first rule of Tautology Club. Yeah, so I look around with the site.
All right. You adopt the site and you look around. The forest remains mostly unchanged. In this place, the spirits of the trees look like the trees, and the spirits of the air look like the gaps in between them. All of the individual tutelary spirits are congruent to their roles, even though you can see their distinct natures on mythic reality now. However, that is not all. There are hazy, luminous figures moving amongst the trees a ways off. They are, broadly speaking, human, but they have odd features sometimes. They are indistinct and a ways off, so you are not entirely sure, but for instance, one's face is just cracked as though porcelain was hit with a hammer. The edges don't actually meet up. There's another that seems to be actively trailing some substance into the air, and they move slowly, aimlessly, seeming not to see each other, as though lost. If you turn a full 360, you might see dozens. You're unable to tell for sure. There could be hundreds. None of them come particularly close to the road.
Pay no attention to the hooded figures that you might see in the dog park.
If you see,
You do not recognize the bodies in the
see
woods.
something, say nothing. I think I say to nobody in particular, and therefore to everybody, are we at all concerned about the peeploids?
Peeploids.
Peeploid seems like an awfully rude. And I cut myself off as I realized that he must be looking with the site. And also see what he's looking at. I'm going to say at this point, because I would probably organically look to Romnet for some level of expertise that I notice he's missing. And
yeah, well, it's easy to notice he's missing with the site.
Yeah. I probably say I'm more concerned about where Romnet went. Romnut? Romnut.
So let us flip over to Romnet. You have let yourself fall through this aperture, and you find yourself first in a palace. You immediately understand that you're not really here. Not in a way that allows you to interact with it. It's a palace unlike any that you've ever seen. It doesn't use materials that you recognize. Almost everything is some level of transparent. And the structures don't seem like they should be able to stand. The scale of it is strange, and it seems to be very high up in the air, as though it were perched on the top of the tallest peak in the desolation, only the weather is pleasant. And in the middle of the space that you are standing in is, incongruously, a large stone. Just a slab of granite. Not even shaped. Just standing there. However, you are able to perceive, even without actively engaging the sight, that this thing is absolutely radiating divine power. There are a number of people arrayed around this slab of granite that seem very glassy-eyed. They're standing still, staring at nothing, dressed all roughly the same in gray robes. Before you can fully take the scene in, though, you are still falling through this scene into another one, into a place where the same slab of granite rests in a more conventional opulence. It gives you the impression of a temple, and there are hierarchs talking to one another in ritualized ways, and then you fall through that one. And eventually,
in each of these, for what it's
arrive,
worth, I'm reaching out toward the stone.
You fall further and further through scenes of decreasing grandeur until you are in a forest, seemingly quite a different one. Younger, greener, brighter, more undergrowth, warmer. And the stone is standing there in the clearing. And this time you are there for long enough that you can begin to move towards the stone. And also long enough that you can begin to perceive the way that the stone is connected to something larger. And just as you are about to touch the stone, you feel that you are moving in the other direction. But instead of passing through the same scenes, you are now seeing something of a collage that in the end you experience as something like a bird's eye view. Your mind able to assemble the fractured pieces of imagery and sense data into something of a bird's eye view of, well, once you are back on your feet, you'll probably conclude that it's a chancel. But it is a vast and majestic natural space that gets more and more expansive as you flicker through instantiations of it. Until finally, you find yourself standing back at the edge of the depression in the Godswoods, feet on firm ground again.
Okay. How many of these are there?
Of these apertures?
Yeah.
One moment, I need to do some mental math.
I mean, I suppose if you want the very precise question is, are there 100 of them?
No, there are 8.
Where's the next nearest one?
very close. Maybe 200 or 300 yards.
Go there.
All right. We'll rejoin you upon your arrival as we have lapsed time unevenly, jumping back to the road. So, we've looked at the forest with the sight. We've noticed that Ramnet is missing and asked where he is. No answer is forthcoming. Thorelda, for their part, is just glaring about as though simply peering with rancor will cause Ramnet to appear.
I'm very familiar with Ramnet's particular brand of fury, so I'm going to do a greater divination, looking in particular for his furious signature, the little kernel that I know he carries with him at all times.
You peer about with your divination for a long minute, becoming more and more sure that his particular signature of fury is missing entirely from the cosmos.
Mm-hmm.
And just as you're about to be like, well, I guess the forest ate Ramnet,
he died the way he lived.
Inscrutably.
Inscrutably, exactly.
Just as you're about to arrive at the conclusion that he simply doesn't exist anymore, blip, he's somewhere in the Godswoods. You're unable to draw a map, but you could point in his direction. And he begins moving.
I am going to, so I assume he's still moving a little bit quickly for your average mortal, right?
And away from the road and from you.
I'm going to grab Leorian by the arm and say, pardon me, he's over there, he's moving quickly, there's something wrong, we're going to go get him, and then more or less attempt to pick up Leorian. I'm going to go ahead and spend a single aspect miracle point to get myself moving at I imagine if he's moving away from me, it's at an angle and I'll be able to identify a way of cutting him off.
Yeah, if he's...
While carrying Leorian.
If he stays on the same trajectory, you will intercept him.
Yeah.
And you take off.
Thorelda can fend for themselves.
You have no idea what Thorelda is doing. You barely pay attention to them. And you take off. Ramnet, you travel the short distance to the next aperture, and this one looks very similar. The exact arrangement of trees is different, but the shape of the clearing is very similar. It is similarly deep. It is filled with these silvery flowers. In fact, if you would do me a favor and roll a Sense plus Sight 5 dice.
That is 3 8s.
Ding dang. It takes you a moment to put it together, but this clearing is symmetrical with the other one. That is to say, it is, if you drew a line between them, it is reflected perfectly across that line.
I will try to enter the depression from the same symmetrical.
You go around it, you come in from the other side, and you let yourself fall. Lissa, Ramnet disappears again. You've only taken maybe like 3 minutes tops running, and he's gone.
I'm still going to head in the direction where his signature was last seen. Assuming I'll be able to see whatever is causing him to briefly disappear from the cosmos.
Yeah, so you adjust your course a little bit to head more to where he was than where you anticipated he would be, and continue on your way. Ramnet. You are falling again, and not through space, but through scenes. It's exactly the same scenes, in the same order, and it's not simply the same arrangements, it's exactly the same. The same attendants in the same clothes in the same places at the same times of day with the same weather. 100% congruent. Same on the way back up.
Can I start trying to move earlier, such that maybe by the time we get to the long scene, I can actually touch the stone?
Yes. And you do. It is cool and rough under your hand, and you can feel the spiritual radiance of it. But it does not seem to react to your touch. Nothing seems to happen.
Is it possible to try to draw in some of that spiritual radiance?
I am going to make a roll.
To see whether or not I can spiritually Kirby this thing?
Spiritually Kirby is how I signed letters when I read them by hand.
Spiritually Kirby.
Great band name, called it.
Yeah.
You try to draw some of this power into yourself, and you actually feel the barrier that keeps you from being able to do so. You aren't sure of its nature, but it doesn't seem to come from the monolith, and it is completely inviolable. Nothing you do in the time that you have before you are coughed back up, as it were, into the Godswoods seems to have the slightest effect on it. Lissa, after an interval, there's Romnet, back where he was when he disappeared.
I will try. I will
I'm still
hop in
heading that
again from a
direction.
different angle, see if that changes anything.
Lissa, Romnet almost immediately disappears again.
I'm just going
No,
to
I
keep
understand.
going
I'm
in the direction.
Just keeping you updated.
At this point, Yakety Sax might be
I
beginning to
probably
play.
take the time to... Yes, I take the time to, over my shoulder where I'm looking for Leorian along for this whole thing, explain, Romnet keeps blipping in and out of the cosmos, I'm just heading where he once was.
So, Romnet, you experience the same sequence in the same order with the same details, no matter where you enter this particular aperture from.
Where's the next one?
And sure enough, after an interval, Lissa, Romnet reappears. The next one is sort of, well, if you were willing to go back the way you came, there's a large one closer to where you entered the Godswoods on the other side of the road. Or if you wanted to press ahead, there are two similarly sized and shaped ones.
Similarly
on either
sized
side of
and
the
shaped
road.
to each other, or to the last pair?
To each other. They are larger than the pair that you have just interacted with, and they are further apart.
I'll go to those.
All right.
When he starts moving again, I'm going to do a lesser creation of fury on the roots in his trajectory, assuming that something is dragging him around, and implore the roots to impede his progress.
You are opposed by an Octoritas. Your miracle bounces off of it.
Oh. How about, so there's not a lot of undergrowth,
Correct.
you said. How about the dirt itself?
Same result. Same Octoritas, actually.
I report this information to
I really
Leorian
love
once
that
again.
I've been
over
a
my
silent prop
shoulder.
this entire time, but I go, oh.
Just
Yeah.
piggybacking.
You pick me up like a cardboard standee and just carry me. Yeah.
Weirdly enough, I didn't.
Well, initially I probably picked you up from the front, but then at
Sure,
some point
totally,
I slugged you over my back and tried to, like, I would have checked to
For
make
sure,
sure
for
that you
sure.
were comfortable, that the experience was overall pleasant.
The ride has been very
Interestingly,
smooth, no question.
And then apologize profusely for once again just picking you up without your explicit consent. But
Interestingly, I did not imagine Leorian being silent this entire time. You hadn't
Yeah,
said anything, but I
that's
had
what I kept
imagined
trying.
him having running commentary all the same. Just me.
Mhm.
Both are correct. I just hadn't said anything, so I realized that was my headcanon, and yeah, both. I mean, the listener is invited to fill in their own Leorian banter during the proceeding. So an Octoritas, then, can we tell how bright?
Not without trial and error.
Yeah, not without expending points, which I'm a little
Yeah,
hesitant to do, but I can try to, I'm going to do I'm just going to start throwing lesser creations of fury at anything I can think of in Romnut's trajectory where something horrible is clearly
yes, clearly,
against his will. Get away from clearly. So then my next thing is going to be the Sylphs of the Air.
The same Octoritas affects them. The whole forest has one seemingly quite strong Octoritas.
Is it the brightest I've seen?
Well, you're not really detecting it as brightness. You're detecting it through trial and error. It's diffuse enough that it doesn't have anything to contrast with. Anything you look at
Is the Octoritas.
is the Octoritas. So you can't actually detect it with the sight. You're kind of inside
it's
of
all
it.
around me.
Yeah. But
I'll make myself glorious and see if that gets a reaction.
interestingly enough, you kind of feel like it might, and it increases sort of your spiritual friction with your surroundings, but nothing reacts. It's more like putting on cleats than having anything actually react to you.
So, back in Keylada, I was able to, and it's been a minute, so I can't remember exactly what I did. And Leorian, feel free to attempt, knowing that there's Noctoritas, use any of your tempo majestic skills. But I remember being able to see the spirits of the ancestors. I don't remember how I got to that point. But I want to connect with the Octoritas now that it at least slightly seems to be responding to me.
You try to recreate the connection that you were able to have in Keylada to those ancestor spirits that otherwise were not immediately visible to you. The problem here is that where that might have been like emerging from quicksand, this is like being in a block of concrete. It is not a bunch of different particles. It is a gestalt. You can detect that there is a there, but it is like trying to see the outside of something while you are in its stomach.
So, I'm not sure if this is a thing. But historically speaking, you could have the option of luring an Octoritas. So I'm just going to start talking to the woods.
Sure. Now,
and
are either or both of you still using the site here?
For sure.
Yes.
I figured.
I also somewhere in here have conveyed the information about time being a little squiggly, in case that's of use.
Those phantasms, those apparitions are still just sort of dispersed throughout this forest, and it is only when Lissa, you start attempting to interact with the Octoritas of the Godswoods that they seem to take any note of you, though they still do not take any note of one another. And they don't react other than to watch you. Though some of their facial expressions, many are neutral, but some seem like they might be moaning. It's not entirely clear. But when they register you as you pass by, they stop in their drifting and they watch you pass.
I'm still running towards Ramnut, but I of course let Leorian know the people you saw, you see that too. They're stopping and they're staring. I don't know who's here or if you are still presently here. We're not seeking to hurt you. We're seeking to understand, and we need your help. I think my friend is in trouble.
Only of the sort that I
So-
create.
Even so, and all the more. Yeah.
As you finish that sentence, something kind of impossible happens. You trip on a root and go sprawling. This should not really be a thing right now. But it makes it all the more notable.
I probably hit twice as hard as I need to, just trying to prevent Leorian from having a hard impact when I go sprawling.
And to be fair, when you go sprawling, even hitting twice as hard as you need to, you are not at all, impeded. It hurts, there's pain, but not a lot, and only momentarily, and you're fine. But you seem to have finally gotten some kind of reaction from something in this forest. And before you can push yourself to your feet, you notice that what you maybe initially took for a root directly under your face where you fell is actually one of those artifacts of the Godswoods. It is a piece of wood that has grown around some chips of malachite in the form of a bearded face that for some reason gives you the sense of looking up at the sky, specifically at night, though you can't really express why that would be what it is gazing at.
First, I try to address it.
What do you say?
I say, I believe you are part of a god that was once all, and we need your help. If I don't get a response, I'll pick it up.
Indeed, you don't get a response. While you are doing that, Leorian, you have been thrown clear of this. Lissa has done her best to see that you are unscathed, but you are no longer moving. Any particular actions here?
I'm watching very carefully as Lissa speaks to something. I suppose I'm not exactly sure what. And instinctively, I take out my lute. I play the most pious melody I can think of. Certainly, I don't know anything devoted to the Overgod or whatever was at the top of all, since no one really knows it exists outside of those in the know, but I simply, where words are failing, try and use music.
Okay. So, let me get a roll from you, Leorian, for command perform. 6 plus an expert die. So go ahead and set that expert die first, and then roll the rest of them.
I'll set it to 6 to see if we could have our first double triple 6 of the campaign. We did not, but we did get 3 5s.
Nice.
Okay.
So chaste, so wholesome compared to what I was going for. But hey, what are you gonna do? True. It's so much sadder. Yeah, you're right.
So you begin to play, and Alyssa, you have spoken to this. It doesn't seem to respond, so you pick it up. And the moment that you grasp it, you feel that it has some kind of power. This is not surprising. Most of the artifacts of the Godswoods do. But as you lift it, you feel it, well... So listen, it's as you lift the face that you start to feel something. At first, you think it's maybe just indigestion or you have to burp, but very quickly, it's deeper than that. Leorian, Romnet, you both feel it too. Although, Romnet, you won't have any idea of what may be the proximate cause here. After maybe 2 to 3 seconds, it's clear that what you're feeling is a pull on your Imperator shard. Something is exerting a force on it, not strong enough to rip it from you, but, well, it's uncomfortable. And you're not 100% sure that if it kept up long enough, it wouldn't be able to affect some change. It's like magnetism. Lissa, you particularly have this thought. Schooled in the Forge as you are, it's like magnetism. Something is the paired inverse of your shard and is pulling on it.
So I don't feel, just to clarify, I don't feel like it's going to be able to pull the shards free.
In the short term.
Oh, with some reluctance. I set the face back down and say, that was a little forward of you. That's this type of chemistry that I was not expecting, but still forward. If I touch it without picking up again, does the feeling return?
If you leave yourself in contact with it for long enough, yes.
If I produce a cloth of some variety so my skin doesn't contact it, does the feeling return?
No.
I'm going to put it in a bag. One of my little pouches.
Very well.
But I'm going to carefully bundle it in one of my kerchiefs. Probably just a good idea to take it with us at this point. And I look at Leorian, not realizing naturally that he felt very much the same thing. And mention that maybe be careful about what we touch. And here, I felt like that was trying to steal my shards.
Steal your... But wouldn't that... We would be... Sure, yeah, let's be careful.
I don't know if it was going to do... I don't know if it's able to do that in a nice way. That's why I'm a little suspicious, but it's coming with us because there's a... It seems like the right thing to do.
I don't think you want to leave that kind of power just sitting out. So, yeah, you made the right choice. But,
Romnet then, and I crouched down and...
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Romnet, right away. And I hop on enthusiastically.
Sorry. I'm now imagining Kronk and Yzma.
And not for
You're
nothing.
Not wrong.
Yeah.
A quick cup of coffee, and then we'll find Romnet. Yeah, it'll be good. Why do we even have that statue? Yeah, onward.
So, onward. Romnet, in the meantime, you have one longer and one quicker tug on your shard as you are moving towards the next aperture in your investigation.
Well, that's sure weird.
Weird and indeed uncomfortable, but it does abate relatively quickly in both cases. And you, at an interval, make it to the next aperture. Now, this is a clearing that is perhaps large enough to be called like a meadow. There are several types of flowers, including those metallic silver ones, growing in it. You can even see where there are a couple of burrows for things like maybe rabbits, though none are in evidence currently. And you can sense the larger, more rounded aperture that makes the place up. Interestingly, it is also on scale a depression. It just is less obvious because it is larger and it is not substantially deeper. So the incline is more spread out.
Okay. I will try to take some of the silver flowers in with me.
You step into the clearing. You pick up some of the silver flowers that are nearest you. While you are doing this, you happen, almost entirely by chance, to glance up. You see the sky. The canopy is broken here. It is dark, full of stars and moonlight. Roll me a lore. This is, for our listeners, knowledge plus lore, 6 dice for Romnet.
So that is a pair of 7s.
These are not your stars.
Okay. I don't know that there's anything I can do with that. So, onward into depression. I mean, the depression.
Yay.
You let yourself fall. It is different this time. You find yourself in something approximating a physical space. You are falling between large, strange structures. They seem like porous membranes, but each is the size of a large building containing something. And you fall in the spaces in between.
I try to fall into or through a membrane.
You don't seem to have any control over your trajectory. They become sparser. And you detect that you are in perfect darkness, though, of course, this does not keep you from seeing. And below you is an odd, furrowed, and rumpled landscape. You feel the attention of something settle on you as though from a great distance. And then you are standing back in the clearing.
As soon as I sense the attention, I would hold out the silver flowers.
When you're standing back in the clearing, the flowers are gone. Your hand is in the same position, but no longer grasping anything. Lissa, you detect this comparatively brief interruption in Romnet's existence. And you are getting closer.
Back in,
You're
this
closing the
time,
distance.
as I start falling, I'm just going to ask, what is this place?
And Lissa, you were saying
Sorry.
something?
As I am running with Leorian, I've used an aspect miracle. Am I able to do another greater divination as I move in his direction?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So, having felt something tug on my shards, it'll occur to me for the first time that they are, in fact, shards. So, rather than asking, what does Fury mean to this place, I'm going to ask, what caused Fury to break off from the hole here?
Nice.
Interesting.
Nice.
Very interesting. So I am going to ask you to make a roll on top of that.
Mm-hmm. Still dealing with emotion.
This one is going to be body plus endurance, 5 dice.
Oh. Come on.
We've hit the point in every Adam campaign where it suddenly becomes Eldritch Horror.
2 6s!
2?
Yes!
All right.
I thought I was sure it was another 69, but the line was so helpful.
Thank you, Lion.
Excellent. So,
Bless you.
Leorian, you are being carried at a rapid clip through the forest, presumably in the direction of Romnet, when suddenly Lissa pitches forward, and this time ragdolls. You are thrown clear. You bump over some roots and fetch up against the bottom of a trunk of a tree. Lissa seems insensate. Lissa, you ask this question, right? What happened to break Fury off from the hole here? And as an answer, you experience it. Hence the, insensate collapse.
Ragdoll. Yes. Pretty reasonable.
You feel yourself momentarily as though in a dream or a vivid memory, connected to absolutely everything. That's overwhelming enough. But after less than a heartbeat of that sensation, it's shattered well beyond what a mirror struck by a hammer would be. Not just cracked into pieces, but atomized. No two things still touching each other, all the way down to the basest elements. You don't know what has shattered you, but pretty soon there isn't a you, because all of the different pieces have dispersed. And you come back to yourself, sprawled on the floor of the Godswoods, amid the loam and the roots, watching Leorian pick himself up from where he was deposited. The world seems to be spinning, though it slows over the next few breaths. Romnet, you are headed back in, and you are asking a question. Remind me of your exact wording.
What is this place?
You head in. You seem to follow the same path as before, see the same scenery as before. You ask, what is this place? And in response, rather than an answer, you experience another brief tug on murder before you're deposited back into the clearing.
Is this tug exclusive to Romnet?
It is. You do
Okay.
not experience anything. You are still blinking and trying to get the world to stop spinning as this happens, but it does resolve itself well enough. You are pretty hardy as these things go, and you recover quickly, pushing yourself to first knees and then feet, and brushing yourself off.
Could I use...
You feel that Romnet is fairly close now.
Could I use World Walker to not only see the twists and turns, as the gift specifically says, of the gnarled path, but also to insert myself at the end there, where I was coming into the awareness of the being, such as it were.
In theory, yes. When you try, you find that there is some force opposing you in this, and that what you have been experiencing is essentially the equilibrium between your ability and that force.
Can I murder that force?
We will answer that question momentarily. Lissa, having collected yourself, would I be correct in assuming that you continue in the direction of the last place that you felt Romnet?
I pick up Leorian first and profusely apologize. I am so sorry. I was doing another divination. I realized that this whole time we've been referring to them as shards, and for a moment I was everything, and it was a bit overwhelming, and then I was split off. And I don't know. I still don't know what caused it.
You were everything.
I was everything. All of it. All the shards whole, and then it shattered.
Well, think not for a moment on the tossing. We're robust folk now, us demigods, and anyway, who would blame a ship for the storm? That's absurd. We're fine. If you're fine, then we're fine. But are you fine?
I think so. We're gonna find Romnet, but I think something horrible happened here long ago, long before these trees. The world was on fire with fury, and would I have any connective tissue between the sense of being everything and the time frame where I went into the deep dive in the past when the world was fury?
Not really. Like, you could postulate using, reason that is available to us as human beings, but you have no special insight.
Yeah. Okay.
Beyond that, no.
I've just experienced a lot.
It's true.
In the past, the brief time period. You know what, Leorin, why don't you hold on a little bit tighter? And I'm not saying that to be forward, but I don't trust my footing right now.
Taken in, I believe, the spirit it was intended. Of course. Can I help? I'm new at this, terribly, horribly new at this, but I don't want you to be doing all the work.
Yeah, you're doing a great job, Leorian, and there's something I should tell you later, not now. Let's get our friend back first.
Of course. Me too, actually. So yeah, when we've made ourselves whole, then there'll be time for all of that.
All right, and you resume your rapidly diminishing journey toward Romnet's location. Now, Romnet, you have a domain of 4.
Yes.
What level of domain miracle are you attempting to use to murder that force? Level 4 would be a lesser creation. Level 7 would be a major creation. And, of course, you may or may not wish to account for penetration.
80.
Actually, I think I'm going to use Gift of Insight first.
Okay.
Because I am not actually convinced, given your description of the walls of the membrane. Well, not the walls of the membranes, but the walls between me and the stone as inviolate.
Mm-hmm.
But I will do 3 penetration, so that is 1 killing and 1 shock to my head.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe it's a maximum of 5 dice for it.
Correct. 1 shock to the body per
So,
die,
yeah.
up to 5.
So 5 dice, 3 penetration. To figure out what this thing is, and, also the force keeping me from, talking to whatever the fuck is in there.
So, to be clear, the target noun here is the force that is preventing you?
I'm sorry, my brain went in a Star Wars
Yeah,
direction
I realized
just
that after I had said it.
now.
Yes, the target noun is the force.
Okay.
May it not be with you.
Oh, it's with me. It may come to
And also
regret
not with
that.
anybody.
That is a pair of 9s with 3 penetration for what
Pair
that's
of 9s. Okay.
It may not be.
All right. So the force that is opposing you is not separate from that with which you wish. It is not separate from that with which you wish to communicate. It is a combination of auctoritas and will, though it feels maybe more like an echo of both of those things. If that is true, then the strength of the initial will and the initial auctoritas, of which this would be an echo, must have been truly mighty in a way that you're not sure you have context for. There doesn't necessarily seem to be a current force behind it. This is what is left that you are encountering.
Okay. So there's no actual point in attempting to murder the force, because that's... Yes. And also I'm probably, heavy nosebleed at this point.
You feel kind of crummy.
Yeah. I will wipe my nose with my hands and then hop back in and offer the blood.
Listen, you come to a clearing in the forest just in time to see Romnet fall through the solid ground and out of view. And coincident with you feeling him blip out again.
Fuck. I run at the ground where he vanished.
Right. Romnet, you offer the blood that you have wiped from your nose. And you, in response, think that you know how a gong feels when it is struck. Specifically, the little center point of the gong where you're supposed to hit it is your shard of murder. And this force ejects you from this space, not with any perceivable malice, just as an effect. But you don't find yourself back in the clearing. You find yourself back on the road. Lissa, Leorian, you see Ramnet disappear. You run toward the spot where he was, and some force erupts a moment later. It doesn't disturb anything physical, but you see all of the apparitions of the forest react in shock, defensiveness, even horror as this happens, and they are wisped away like smoke. You are thrown back. Not, again, physically so much. It is almost as though a shockwave carries you with it through the mythic world and deposits you back on the road. Ramana is there, and Thoralda is there. Thoralda is lying splayed in the middle of the road with a large, ragged, gaping wound in their chest above where their heart used to be.
Setting up camp.
And that's where we'll end our session.
Playing with forces we don't understand. Cat.
So, everyone can have one mortal XP.
No divine. Oh.
Not yet.
No, we've been presented with the mystery. We haven't solved it.
With that, we'll close this very enigmatic session of Dice Punks. Thank you for joining us. I hope our players and our listeners enjoyed it as much as I did, although in this particular case, I imagine that I'm the one who enjoyed it the most. And I also hope that you'll join us again next time. If you're hearing us now, then you probably know where to listen to us. But we can be found almost any place that one can listen to podcasts, as well as on the wider web at dicepunks.com and on Twitter as at dicepunks, where we are occasionally posting some outtakes. So if that sounds amusing to you, swing by. But with that, I think we're ready to say farewell. So say goodbye to the kind folks at home, players.
Thanks for listening, and if you have a hollyhock god in your life, let him know that you enjoy being fucked with as much as he enjoys fucking with you.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Remember that the key to a positive work environment, especially when dealing with difficult coworkers, is to assume positive intent.
Thanks for listening, folks. And lesson. If you find a void in the forest, jump in. Speaking of our
The Dice Punks
speaking of our discussion of
assumes
Cowboy
no legal
Bebop.
responsibility for any injury due to we assume no responsibility for void-related injury. Please.
Yeah. Stay on the
Please consult your
trails,
local forest
people,
service
and
before
do
jumping
not
into
acknowledge.
I like that the non-lawyer is the one giving the lawyer fast disclaimer.
Well, disclaimer given.
Whatever.
As the poet once said, its hymn resonates from tree to tree. Through every sullen bough it sings. These boughs were said to be lost, torn, unearthed, and broken. Earth to flesh, flesh to wood. Thank you, dear listeners, for tuning in, and stick around through the admin stuff for an absence from Leorian. The songs in this episode, Theme of the Dice Punks in its acoustic version, were written and recorded by the Viscount of Tempo in his element, Drew. Cover art is by Joanne, who has appeared on the podcast now and again. Check out her work around the internet where she goes by Anything Sews. Site design and graphics for dicepunks.com are by Robin, the player behind Lissa, Nobilis of Fury. Rain and the one-roll engine it runs on were created by Greg Stolze, whose work can be found in a lot of places, but you should start at gregstolze.com. Nobilis was created by Jenna Catherine Moran and can be found alongside much of her other really intriguing work, and I believe a new novel, at afarandsunlessland.wordpress.com. Links to both systems and authors can be found on the Punk Grimoire section of our website, dicepunks.com. Thanks so much for listening. If you liked what you heard, well, that is reward enough on its own, but if you're so inclined, you can help us out by rating and reviewing us wherever you listen to us, telling your friends who you think would like us to give us a listen, and even by heading over to our Patreon at patreon.com/dicepunks. We have fun rewards available to backers, including a patron-only Discord and access to the Dice Peaks After Show for episodes 1 and following. Regardless, we hope you'll tune in again, and until then, remember, subtlety is for cowards.
Well, so yeah, I've been listening to sort